This is the most offensive tank builds for Monster Hunter now. If you're like me and you want to stay in the front lines tanking monster attacks, then this is the perfect build for you. It's very offensive but doesn't sacrifice any defense. It's all thanks to the offensive guard skill. It offers over 40% attack increase for perfect guarding attacks. So it's the perfect skill for weapons with big shields and high raw attack power. I'll be showcasing two armor sets, one for the lance and another for the charge blade. We will go through the armor pieces you will need, and I'll be teaching you how to use this build using the charge blade's guard points and the lance's powerful counter thrusts. So let's start off with the offensive tank build for the lance. This build revolves around the Devil Joe lance. It unlocks offensive guard level 2 when upgraded to grade 8, and combine it with its high raw and high dragon attack stats, it makes for one of the best lances in Monster Hunter now. Getting that 2 points of offensive guard from the weapon alone frees us up to equip other armor pieces with powerful skills in the build. So to complete the 5 points of offensive guard, we will need to equip the Banbaro Vambraces and the Diablo's Waist. To effectively use offensive guard, we will need to equip the Radovan Helm and Legs for guard, to minimize chip damage and limit knockback. And lastly, we equip the Black Diablo's Mail for resentment. Overall, this build has offensive guard level 5, guard level 3, and resentment level 2, and a bonus part breaker level 1. Now, the game plan of this build will require you to consistently perfect guard attacks in order to activate offensive guard. This will be your main source of damage. If you fail to perfect guard attacks, you will get chip damage. But don't worry too much about it. Because of that chip damage, you will activate resentment instead. These two skills can stack up together and give your attacks a huge damage buff. An incredible 40% attack increase from offensive guard, and an additional 15% from resentment. The current meta right now is that elemental attack skills are better than raw attack buffs. But interestingly, when you upgrade the Devil Joe Lance to grade 10, it can actually outdamage elemental builds with Dragon Attack level 5. But sadly, any weapon grade below 10, elemental builds are still better and will still deal more consistent damage. My only issue with elemental attack builds is that it doesn't feel as satisfying whenever you pull off a perfect guard. You will still deal the same amount of damage even though you perfectly guarded an attack. So that's why I prefer this offensive guard build over the meta dragon attack build. But moving on to the charge blade build. This one is a raw offensive guard tank build. For armor pieces, you'll need the following. We will equip the Baroth Mail, Banbaro Vambraces, and the Diablo's Waist for offensive guard, and we will need the Radovan Helm and Legs to get guard level 3, a staple for any tank build. I highly suggest having guard skills to prevent getting knocked back from heavy monster attacks. This will come especially handy when we use guard points to do SAEDs. The SAED has a very long animation that's very punishable, so you'll need to do it as quickly as possible. If you get knocked back, it will add some delay before you can throw out the SAED, and you can get punished because of this. So guard in this build is very important. For the weapon, we'll be using the Black Diablo's Charge Blade. With its high raw, we can take full advantage of the offensive guard skill. Overall, this build has offensive guard level 5, guard level 3, and part breaker level 2 from the Diablo's Waist and the grade 8 Black Diablo's Charge Blade. So to consistently perfect guard attacks using the Charge Blade, we'll need to use guard points. The easiest guard point you can do is to simply tap and hold while in sword mode. But it's very hard to time this guard point properly for perfect guards. So in my opinion, the best guard point to do is to transform to axe mode. There's a moment in the animation as your hunter is transforming to axe mode where the shield is in front. In my opinion, it's way easier to get perfect guards using this guard point. However, if you do it too early, you will get punished. You do this guard point by tapping and holding, then swiping up as the monster is about to attack. You can easily perfect guard attacks and activate offensive guard this way. And after successfully blocking an attack using the charge blade, you can simply tap and hold to quickly follow up with an SAED. The only problem I have with this guard point is that as a lance main, I'm used to swiping down to do counter thrusts. So when I'm using the charge blade, I often get hit because I'm used to swiping down instead of swiping up to get perfect guards. Not only that, the timing for perfect guards when using the charge blade is different from the lance, so I still need to do some practice. Now my last tip when using guard points with the charge blade is to charge up your shield. Whenever you block attacks, it creates a small fire explosion damaging the monster. Now you can also use this raw offensive build for the lance. The Azure Rathalos lance has a high raw attack power perfect for offensive guard. At grade 10, it can even out-damage elemental builds using Rathalos weapons. So those are the most offensive tank builds in Monster Hunter Now. It will take a bit more skill to use, but once you master perfect guarding, it will be very rewarding. For more builds, be sure to check out this video right here, and if you want to master the lance, be sure to check out this video instead.